Alrighty. We are back on it today. As you can see, we're going to be painting our Necron Boss. Actually, we're probably going to start out with the base. We've done a little bit on the base, so we'll probably continue on with that. Maybe we'll get into the Necron Boss a little bit. We'll see what happens. Let's see. What else do we got going on? I think I've got everything set. The mic is good. Yep, mic is good. Last time I kind of screwed that up a wee bit. So I'll just kind of do a little bit of housekeeping here. Kind of put everything into perspective. So yeah, that's what we got going on. So we're going to be painting the boss a little bit, and we're rocking a French vanilla latte this morning with a dark bean roast, by the way. And I'm on the tail end of it, but it's still good. So we've been getting that. I do have some good news. I'm going to be picking up my Necron Combat Patrol Pack. Yes. It is going to be good. So that is going to be today. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see if we can take a look, and I'll show you the guys that we got going on here. For those of you who don't know, that is a Warhammer and is a tabletop game. So I'm going to be learning how to do that. And there is the Combat Patrol Pack. Necrons, they're kind of like the lore is. They were a group of people living on a toxic planet at some place in the distant future, long time ago, whatever it is, far from where we are today. And it ends up that they made a deal with some other people, and their consciousness went into machines, and then they can reanimate and rebuild themselves. So there's kind of that, but they lost their soul, I guess, is kind of like what I'm getting from it a little bit. But in this tabletop game, yeah, it's going to be a little expensive, $170 right there. So but I was able to get a decent discount. So that worked out. So we'll get all these characters here. And I guess what I could end up doing is this. Let me move some stuff around. And we'll just kind of... And it should be noted, it looks like a lot, but when you consider that the smaller pieces there, the smaller characters, are 32 millimeters in height. So if we kind of blow that up, you can see, yeah, 32 millimeters. That's not large. 32 millimeters. But those of you who are wondering, it's not even 1.5 inches. So yeah, it's not much at all. And the fact that that is $170, at least you get a fair amount of product with it. But that's like a 500-point army, which isn't really an army. It's more like just dipping your toe in the waters of Games Workshop. If you're going to do a 1,000-point army or a 2,000-point army, you're going to be shelling out a lot more money, because you're going to have a lot more characters that you have to buy. And Games Workshop is notorious for charging a ton of money for those little plastic models that come on sprues. So yeah, it's amazing on how I can go to a local game store or hobby store here in Korea, and I can get an F-15, I can get a jet, I can get... with intricate details out the wazoo, that is a ton of plastic, and I'll pay next to nothing for it compared to, buying the Games Workshop stuff. So yeah, they're really proud of their plastic. So we got that going on. So anyway, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to go head over to the paint station there, and I want to see if I want to kind of do some adjustments here. So we'll kind of go, well, I guess we can start there. And on the next one, we'll kind of bring it down, and we'll try to do some different views. And I don't know, hopefully this will work out. So this has got like a timed thing that we're going to end up doing. And so it goes on like a timer, and so it'll zoom in and then it'll go back out and zoom in, go back out. It'll just keep rotating that, and we'll see how that works out. So if you have any questions, I do have my tablet over there, so I will be able to read some comments if you want to do that. If you play Warhammer, let me know what you play, and I would like to know that as well. So with that, let me check one more thing here. So about every 10 to 25 seconds, that feed, well, let's make it 30 seconds. 10 to 30 seconds. We'll see how that goes. And I think we should be good. And we will just start off with this. And I don't need that, so we can get rid of that. And let's just head on over to the table. And we'll see if we can paint some stuff. And with that, I need to get this tablet going. And I need to get, where is my page? I guess all home there. Let's see. Everything is going slow, apparently. So we will. And of course, let's see. Of course, now my tablet, I got a larger tablet, and now it's not connecting up to the internet. Well, it's not a new tablet. It's a tablet that I'm using. Seriously? Really? That's what we're doing? It's not working. Seriously. Let me check the Wi-Fi. Let's try other Wi-Fi to see if that works. Let's try that one there, and we'll see what happens. So anyway, we worked on the base a little bit, and as we can see there, now let's see if my internet is working. Yes. There we go. Okay. Whew. Holy crow. That took a while. So anyway, we got this Necron guy, and I found a proxy unit or a replacement unit. This is the Games Workshop one. So we kind of took this, and we found this online. I think it was Colts 3D or Maker World, something like that. And what I ended up doing is taking all the parts, and I split them in half and then printed them out. And so I've got a video on that, and we can see how this guy turned out. It was pretty good for, definitely came out nice. We sprayed it with a Creality dark metallic with kind of like some sparklies in there as our base coat. I already went ahead and painted some areas black, so that way, excuse me, we can put on the white and we can start getting that the glow effect. We're going to give that a shot. So when we have the areas like the blade and these orbs, we'll put, like Tesseract or green, and we'll try to get that glowing type thing like we got on this guy here. So did a little bit of practicing, and I need more work on that. But what we'll end up doing, since we got this guy, this is our base, and the base turned out pretty good. So this was 3D printed on the Creality K2 Plus, and we put some Green Stuff World texture on there, so that looks good. And I guess we could do is kind of do something with those little rocks that are in there. So I'm thinking about adding some brown to see how that goes. And we're going to need a brush. That is a big brush. We don't want that big brush. Let's try something like that. That's kind of big too. Let's we do something like that. That'll work. So, let me get a little wet wipe. Let's see. We can do some rocks, and we can kind of, I'm thinking a darker brown. So we could go with something like with an oak brown, and then we can give that a shot and see what happens. But I'm pretty excited about this. This is going to be interesting. And of course, then I'm getting my Necron Combat Patrol team. The combat box, I picked that up today, which is going to be cool. Then I get to put them together, and then the painting. So let's give a shot and see what we got. We'll just use that for our paint. And of course it is jammed. I really need like a paper clip. To kind of get this stuff. There we go. So got a little bit of this oak brown, and let's see how that does for the little stones that we have. And we'll just put a little bit of water on there, and then we can maybe a little bit more. That'll work. We'll kind of mix that in, because the Army Painter paints are pretty thick, unless you're looking at the airbrush paints. Those are already thinned out. So let's go ahead and we'll see what these rocks end up doing. And then the other thing we could do on these as well is, besides painting these with some brown, we can go through and we can kind of, it kind of breaks up some of the monotony of all of that one color. So I think that'll work. And then we can always go back and we can add some edge highlighting or something like that. I just wanted something just a little bit something a little bit different on this. And the great thing about painting is that if you make mistakes, you can really kind of just fix things up by just painting over it. So, yeah. Not too bad. And the back of this, I mean, nobody's really going to look at the back of this except for you and me. But we'll just kind of continue. And the other thing we can do with this base as well is to add some tufts of grass on here that will kind of add another color to this as well. So I'll just kind of add just something in there just to kind of break up the monotony of that whole color scheme that we got. And we're almost done. We could always also use this paint just to fill in some spaces like that. So there, let's see if we can turn the light a little bit. Turn the light a little bit, get some light on the subject. Looks like chocolate chip cookies, don't it? We'll try to add some other colors to that and see if we can't fix that up. But the other thing we can end up doing, like I said, is we can end up adding some tufts of grass on here. And that will help. Let's see, chat messages. We've got George is here. Howdy, George. Let's see. Probably want like a bigger one. So we could just add a little bit of grass. You know, something just a little bit, kind of break up all of this massive color that we have. And we can just kind of add that in there. Make sure that that's on there. And so basically this guy is going to be standing like so. And we'll probably put a little bit of, maybe try another one too. We can do a one of these, see how this turns out. George says that he's late. Sorry you're late? No, you're totally fine, sir. You are totally fine. There's no problem whatsoever. So we can add a little bit more to that base there. And I don't want to overdo it, because this is going to be the front here. So maybe just another small one. I'll just kind of put that right there. And so there is our base, what we've got going on. So I think that'll work out good. Still, I don't know, maybe those brown rocks are a little bit too brown, maybe. I don't know. We could add something to that. Question is, what are we going to do next? Interesting. What do we do next? Because we can attack this base a little bit more. I think what I want to do is I want to get on these recesses here. I want to get some white in there, because eventually what we'll do is we'll use the white and we'll put like a tesseract green or a fluorescent green on these, you know, something, you know, a Gauss green or something like that. And that will really bring out the shine. So we put some white in here, that'll really help. And then after that, we might even get the airbrush. I really need to do more on airbrushing. And then we could airbrush some white on there to simulate the glow around the cracks, and especially where these kind of characters are at, hieroglyphics or whatever, not the cracks themselves. But, you know, kind of like in this here, all in those, and so that way we can get a little bit of a glowing action on here. I think that might look cool. We'll see how that goes. So we'll give that a shot and see what happens. We've got a couple of options. We can go with a white airbrush paints, because these are Army Painter airbrush paints, because they're watered down pretty good. That could act like kind of like a panel liner, but I also have panel liner. So I've got fluorescent white panel liner. So what we can do is we can experiment a little bit on this, and we can see which one will work out. So for the larger area, I might just do the paint on there. It depends on how fluid it is. And this panel liner, which is fluorescent white, we can put that into the cracks, but I think it's really going to need, because that's like really thin. You can kind of see that there. It's kind of like milk. So there's not a lot of substance to it. So I think we're going to need to do this for the matte white to get down a base on that. We'll just have to water it down a pretty fair amount. You can see that's pretty liquidy because it does go in an airbrush. So the cool thing is we can just go ahead, and we need to make sure that our brush is clean. Or clean enough. I think we're good. And we'll load the brush up, and we can see how we get some capillary action on that already. So this will give a good coat, even though it's watered down. This will give us a real good starting point, a real good base color on that, and yeah, we might have to do a couple of coats, but that's okay. Because I think it'll really pay off. And I don't want to get inside that crack. I don't want it in the crack. Sometimes you want it in the crack, other times you don't. This time we don't. We don't want to fill McCracken. So, because I think that will, my whole idea is we just want the glow on the solid pieces. We don't want the glow to go inside the cracks of these. And so there, you can kind of see what we got. It should be a pretty good base for that white, and we might have to add some more, as you can see, like on that one there. But once we get that built up, almost like a filler with that paint, and that dries, and then that'll give us a real good base to put our colors. But man, that is just really, I think that'll be good. So we can do the same thing with the little characters, and I'm wondering if we can use this kind of like what you would do with a panel liner, and we can come back with the panel liner and fill that in, but I want to try this and see if we can't put that into those sections as well. We got Leo here. Hello, very regards from Denmark. Nice looking base. Yes, thank you. We're getting on it, and we're going to try to fill in these areas. The other thing is we have a panel liner pen, but I don't think this is going to work with paint, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's not going to work. That will probably just work with panel lining. So with that in mind, we'll just have to use a smaller brush to try to get in those areas. And is that going to be small enough? I don't know. Let's give it a shot and see. We'll load this up, and we'll see if we can't get some capillary action in this thing. And we can always go back over and, yeah, we're getting a little bit. We can kind of clean off the top there once we fill this up. Fill the cracks. And then with that, hopefully this will give us the coverage that we need to really bring out those hieroglyphics that we got going on. So we can do that, and then I think we can just kind of like that. So we can kind of get that a little bit. It's a little bit it's not bad for first. Let's see if we can get these other ones going. Like I said, then the next thing, the other thing I want to try is the airbrush to kind of get some white ink, and we'll see how that works, because we can do a little bit of spray on that, and then we can go back over that with a fluorescent green, and this white will really make that pop. At least that's kind of the thought behind it. We'll see if it if it actually works. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. We'll have to go through and kind of clean this up a little bit like we did that other one. Almost like I need a it's not too bad. That's better. So that looks pretty good. That's not bad. Almost like I need like a Q-tip or something to be able to just get that. Just I think that'll work. See if we can knock out this other one down here real quick. This one's got a lot of damage on it, so, or the cracks, not the model. So not too, this one's not a lot. See if we can clean that up a little bit. And there we've got that. And then I'll probably even do that trench that is around that as well. I think that'll be easy to do. So let's do a little bit on. I don't know if that's gonna. like I said, hopefully this will, let's get that up a little bit. Hopefully this will give a good white base where we can really get that fluorescent color in there. Kind of just clean that up just a tad. And then we can always go back with a little bit of that gray to clean up some of that area. So yeah, I think that'll give some good detail to it. I like it. We might have to do a couple coats. Leo says, I know you know, let it dry for a minute, then sponge it with mineral spirits or a fine grit sponge. If it's a flat surface, you'll get some sharp edges. Biggs Android says, yo, happy Saturday. Yeah, actually it's Sunday here in Korea. So we will do that. I'm time traveler. I'm in the future. Those of you in the United States. So yeah, kind of got that going on. So far, everything in the future here is good. And it's the weekend in the United States and a lot of other places, so. So yeah, that's going to pop pretty good, I think. So yeah, that should give us a good base. I'll give some little bit of detail on there. Let's get that last one done. And then we can also go through and hit up with some edge highlighting as well. I'm going to need a little bit more, just a little bit. Just a little bit in the crack. Not a lot, just enough. We might have to go back for a second coat, but that's okay. Like I said, I'm gonna venture into the airbrush world, and we'll see if we can't add in a little bit of glow to that. And a little bit right there. So I think we're pretty decent. You can go back here and add a little bit more. Be better with the dry. Just kind of. There it is. So hopefully that'll give us some good stuff there. And the other thing we could end up doing now is we could do a little bit of edge highlighting. So that should work out good. Probably get a paper towel. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Let me run to the other room. Alrighty. And I'm debating on whether to bring in my airbrush here because it's loud, it's noisy. I don't know if that's something I want to do, but we'll see. I tried picking up one of those cheap small compressors, you know, with the handheld airbrush compressor thing. I got one of those off of Amazon and it absolutely sucked. Different colors that we could do on this. Interesting. If we're going to do some edge highlighting on here, we could probably do it with a gray. And we've got, I think the Necromancer cloak is what we used for this. So if we can go a little bit lighter, like a uniform gray, and or we could, if you had like a titanium, add like a little blue or something like that. We'll see how that goes. I don't know, because the color scheme on this guy, I don't think we want blue, but the cracks in those stone pedestals or whatever they are, see how they've got they got some edge highlighting on some of those areas to break up all the gray. So that's what we're going to end up doing as well. Big says, currently printing Detroit Lions cheese board for a friend. Oh, nice. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, so this is painful for me to do right now. Well, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I printed out some stuff, some trophy stuff, by the way. So, for example, this is just a proof of concept one. So this is a trophy that it'll be bigger, probably be about like that tall. But I'm wondering if I'm going to need a first, second, and third place trophy, or we're just going to do like best in show for painting. We have the award for the worst painting, the worst paint golden turd award. So that'll be that. And then this one will be scaled up, so this will be the same size as that, so it should be significantly bigger. So yeah, that'll go to the game store where the gentlemen are, and we'll see how that goes. I guess we can just put that over there. So yeah, it should work out good. Let's get back to, I see a little area. Now I am going to go back and hit this again with, or hit this with an airbrush. So I'm not too concerned with this kind of looking a little hazy because of the white. We'll see. George says, as long as it isn't Cowboys. Big says, I'd vomit if it were Cowboys. Well, it is what it is. You're doing it for a friend, so. I think we're going to have to add a little bit of water to that. That's one thing. Army painter paints are so thick at times. And so they need to be mixed up. But if you get the Army Painter airbrush paints, they're already thin for an airbrush, and I found that you don't need to water those down or thin them out like what we're doing here. So maybe I should have grabbed the gray off of there. So now, let's get a little bit of a thinner brush. I think this will work. This is Army Painter. So we'll use this for we'll start on the back. So yeah, it's going to turn out really good. So I just kind of go along the side here. Well, that's going to be not what we want. So we'll wipe it off. So let's see if we can't get this. And just run it. Right along that edge. And so we can get a little bit of color on there. So yeah, this will work out. And again, just a little bit of edging. You can see that there, it's very slight. But it will give a little bit of go back over that just a hair more. And then the other thing we could end up doing too is to breathe. Breathe. messing that all up. Seriously, really. See if we can't do this without screwing it up. That way we've got a little bit of color in there. And so just gotta watch where I'm putting my fingers. And then we can kind of get inside the crack a little bit. And just a little bit of detail. So we can see a little bit of detail on there. Again, just kind of break up the monotony of all of that black or that charcoal color or cloak color, whatever hell color we used. So just kind of break up that line there. So I think it's fairly good. We could even do that inside part there. Oops. I'm not too concerned with that. Then we could do do we want to do the edge there? On the bottom, I think we can. So we can kind of, there we go, that's better. Then, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so we got some subtle work done on there. So you can see we got a little bit on there, some subtle details, and again it's kind of a gray, so it'll be a little interesting to see. And we might even go through and add something like a dark wash to this as well. But I think we're good for the most part. I think it's pretty decent looking. So we'll just kind of do the same thing. Just run this along the bottom there because it's easy to do. And a little bit there. So we can break that up a little bit. And we'll start on this next guy. Oh, dun dun dun. It's just trying to find the right angle. Like I said, I'm pretty impressed with the results we got on this. Considering this was an FDM printed base and figure. So I was happy with it. George says looks good. I'm trying. I am trying. I am trying. I just gotta learn some stuff, practice. other thing we could end up doing too, I don't know if I will, but we could end up adding in like another gray, like a lighter gray, and we could put just some highlights on this, but I don't know if that'll be worth doing or not. So we'll see. Okay, so I think it's pretty decent. Let's see if we can get this bottom one. We can knock this one out. Just add in some lines. So there, I think we did. I think we got pretty good on that. Not bad. Even though it is a gray, I think we got some pretty decent colors on there, and it kind of breaks it up a little bit. The other thing we could end up doing is, I think it looks good. Oh, we got a little bit of edge here. Got to do the edging. Edging is good. I highly recommend edging. I like it on models. I don't know what you all are thinking, but yeah. Yeah, so I think we can do good here. We can always just add, you know, a little bit of details to kind of break that up. And I think that looks good. I don't know. What do y'all think? I think it turned out okay with the edge highlighting and stuff. Kind of breaks that up. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. I think we're good on that. Swedish Forge is in here. Hey. Throw the shaka out. It's a Hawaiian thing, but yeah, we're planning on going to Hawaii this May. But before that, the end of this month, we're going to be going to the Philippines for a couple weeks. Going to chill out there. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, good stuff. So I think we're good on this. The other thing that we could do, I guess, is we could get some dark wash and we could kind of put them in here, so kind of do a reverse highlight by putting in these open areas, kind of wash that out with a little bit of dark. Maybe we could try that. I figure if you can highlight, I guess then this would be low lighting. So let's try some low lighting and see what we get. We'll just get a couple drops. By the way, this is Vallejo wash effects for dark. So let's use this one here, and we can kind of test it on the back. So we'll load this up. Holy crow, that sucked that up good. And then what we kind of end up doing is, I guess we could just kind of, ooh, that is dark. And that is dark. And you can see how kind of dark that is. That might work. Let's go ahead and we'll just kind of drive on with this, and maybe we could just kind of stipple in some stuff here. And this, instead of just painting it on, I think we can stipple it and we can get a little bit of control and get a little bit more variation on our piece here. And then we could also just kind of blot it and see what that does. I mean, it's a slight difference. I don't know if that's going to be, I think we get a little bit liberal with that. Thought it would be a little bit more pronounced, but it does darken it up a tad. It's just a very small amount. But since we're here, we might as well just do it. We could just blot that on there. I'm kind of like the center of this. And that will just create a small slight layer, kind of like what we end up seeing there. Like I said, it put a little bit on there, not much, but maybe just enough to, we'll just continue on and do it. What the hell? What the hell? We'll just do it. And underneath there, we'll just kind of slap that on there. Hungry. That's my stomach growling. I haven't had anything to eat yet. Had my latte, but that has been it. And it is 9:40. So, yeah, a little bit hungry. That's just a real slight color change. I don't know if that would be worth doing, but I mean, it makes it a little bit different. I don't know. I think I'm just doing this because I don't want to waste it. So a little tiny detail, not too bad. A little bit of a slightly darker, tiny. I think it actually kind of works. Maybe we'd make more money on kind of just doing these areas here. So I don't know. I don't know if that's worth doing or not. It's a little bit different. Maybe. Let's just continue on. Might as well. Get a little bit of a... And the thing is, we're going to come back with you know, the airbrush, and we'll kind of blow on some white ink to get the glow on this anyway. So, but I just wanted to have something a little bit darker. Just to fill those areas and just give it a little bit. Of course, he's going to be standing on this, so again, it's like, is this much ado about nothing? Maybe. I don't know, it might be. At least I can say I tried it, you know what I mean? It'll be all right. Just go ahead and continue on. Drive on. That's a lot. And today's the day that I get my Necron Combat Patrol box. So I'm kind of waiting with bated breath for that, because I picked that up today. So that'll be cool. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, I think this helps a little bit. The more I look at it. I think we did that one. Yeah, we did that one. So I think by the time all that dries, we'll be able to see a little bit on what this is going to get us as far as, you know, a little bit of color change. And I think that'll work. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what we get. So there it is. You can see it kind of added some layers to that, darken that in just a little bit. The dark wash. So not bad at all. So yeah, I think it worked out okay. It wasn't a failed attempt. It was an attempt and it worked a little bit, so that will work. And I think we're done with that. So we continued on. We did a little bit on this thanks to the Vallejo wash. So we used that dark wash. This, I think we can go through, maybe we can try this and we can put some of this in, because that should have had enough time to dry. Is it? I think so. Yep, I think we can do that. So now we can do this panel liner. And this stuff is really cool. It's really watery. It's even more watery than the airbrush paint, so you're going to get a lot of capillary action on it. And we will load this thing up and see how it goes. Just want to paint it on there, in the big spots, and we'll see how that reacts. See the big areas, but it's so watery. That's the other thing. It's like when it says it does panel lines, yeah, it is not thick by any stretch of the imagination. But where we're gonna make our money is with these symbols, I think. And it does fill those cracks and fills in. But the question is it going to be noticeable enough? And it's hard to tell. So I don't know. Very, very hard to tell. I don't know, folks. I think maybe the airbrush paint did a better job. But then again, we're not doing like panel lining. These are pretty pronounced lines. And we'll see. I don't know. We can give it a shot and see what happens. Oops, get in there. I'm hoping that this would add a little bit of fluorescent on here. and maybe that'll help the help this stuff pop a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. And I guess we could just try to put it in some of these creases and cracks, because it does fill those cracks pretty good, and it's a little bit of a different color. So I don't know if that'll make a difference when we come back with the if we go, after we get all this done, and then we go back in with an airbrush. So I don't know, we'll see how it goes. It is a little bit of a different color, so keeping our fingers crossed and seeing how that would work. But it is cool seeing how the capillary action works. So I'm hoping this will do a little bit extra. Because it is a little bit of a different color. And I think that could be cool. I don't know if it will or not. We'll find out. Right? But it does fill the crack pretty good. So yeah, I think this will do a little bit. I can see a difference in the color. Like I said, will it be enough of a color change when we do our airbrush? I'm not sure. So we'll see. But I think it looks okay. And since that's going to dry, in case anybody wondering, that's called steady. So pick that up. I've got fluorescent white, red, green, blue, yellow, gray, and black. And I think some orange as well. So I think this can turn out pretty good. Matter of fact, if you hold on, let's see if I can take the camera and you can see the difference on those colors. So you can see where the cracks are. That's where the fluorescent panel liner is. And then the hieroglyphic things are more white with that Army Painter airbrush. And I think that will be a pretty cool base, because once we end up getting some green orange glow on there, I think that'll look pretty good. It'll be very, very interesting. And I'm going to be going for green, but other variations you could end up using. I've seen people instead of using green, they've used blue. I've seen somebody use orange. So some pretty cool color schemes that you can get off of your Necrons. You're not limited to just doing gray with a little bit. I've seen some sand colored ones with sand colored armor, which looks really cool. So we will just let this sit. So I think we're going to be done for now. And with that, what I'll end up doing is getting some breakfast, because I think what we ended up doing here is enough. And we just need to wait for it to dry, and I think we got a pretty good base going on there. So, and he will be standing on that. So all the details he's going to be stepping on, but I think, I don't know, somebody said that if you have a really nice looking base, that will elevate your overall figure. So yeah, I think that is true to some degree. So yeah, I think that is what we're going to end up doing. I'm not going to say this is a first place trophy, but it's definitely not the worst paint or the golden turd. It's somewhere in between there. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Alrighty. Let's get back to the desk, since that turned out pretty good. There we have it. What we ended up doing is painting our Necron Boss, one that was printed on our Creality K2 Plus, so we got that going on. The French Vanilla is the only thing that I've had. We see that we do have the Necron Combat Control Patrol box that I'm going to be picking up, and that's what that is right there. So I'm looking forward to that, and maybe we'll do a video of probably, I don't know, putting those things together. It depends on how depends on what the box says as far as like the age limit. This is for ages, you know, 6 and up, 8 and up. I might have a chance, but if it's like 12 or 15 and up, I don't know, it might be pretty complicated. We'll see what happens. So anyway, that's what we got going on. We had some good fun. We ended up doing our little guy there, our base for our Necron Boss that we have, which was printed on our Creality K2 Plus. That is waiting in the wind, and it's waiting for the next print. So anyway, that's what we got going on. If you've got any tips, tricks, videos, playlists, things to make me a better person, painter, printer, whatever, what you can end up doing is putting it in the comment section. I might miss them after the fact because I don't keep track of all the comments, but what you can do is you can send me a video here, or send me an email at officialtheverylife@gmail.com, and what we can end up doing is you send me stuff, I'll look at it, and I'll answer. So that's how that works. Also had some people that ended up buying me coffee. You can do that as well. You can buy me coffee, link in the description box. But the best thing that you can end up doing is liking and subscribing to the channel. Again, I'm Steve, hobby tech guy, retired American expat in Korea, and besides going to the gym, I just do some 3D printing and painting stuff. So we're going to continue on and do that. So the next step is we'll dive a little bit deeper. I think the next thing that we'll end up doing with our base is we'll continue on. We'll pull out the airbrush. I'm not sure how we're going to film that, whether I'll bring it in here. We're just going to do some white ink, a little bit of an overspray on that, and then we can do with white ink, and then we can go back after that dries and do some fluorescent green. I think that's what we can end up doing to kind of get that glow from some of those characters. So that'll be interesting because I haven't done a lot of, I need practice on the airbrushing. So yeah, you definitely want to stay tuned for that, because all of that good work that we did might have to start over. We'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed and we'll see what happens. But everybody else, hey, Ned Venom says thanks. Yeah, appreciate it. Swedish Forge comes in. Have a good one. Have peace. Enjoy your weekend, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to plan to do the same, and hopefully we'll see you on the next video. Oh, by the way, thank you for being so cool. I really appreciate that, and being overseas, it's nice to interact with so many cool people such as yourself. So yeah. Alrighty, Swedish Forge is going to leave us with the last comment. See you, Steve. Trophy yellow smiling. Yes, yes, indeed. We will see you on the next one. Peace. Alrighty, need to brush up on